deadlines, order fulfillment, P&L management, customer service. I mean, with everything that's going on in the plants nowadays, who has time to worry about safety? Besides, what are the chances of somebody actually getting hurt today?
Welcome to the second edition of Headquarter Highlights. I'm your host, Melissa Gridley, and with us today is our President and CEO, Fred Lynch. Thanks for being here with us.
Great to be here, Melissa. Thanks.
So last quarter, we talked at length about the importance of our safety goals and our performance in the first part of the year. How do our second quarter safety stats stack up?
Well, we didn't have as good a second quarter as we had in the first quarter. In July, particularly, we had 19 injuries. That compares to 10 injuries in July of last year, so that's a big increase. Today, our TIR, which is our total incident rate, is at 1.56, so that's 1.56 injuries per every 100 employees. That's above our goal of 1.51. Now, we've seen this happen before in the summer, and typically what we see is that people get distracted, and sometimes we forget to stay focused on the task at hand at work. We need to make sure, we have 4 weeks of summer left. It's important that all of our employees make sure that they're focused on safety. We don't want our employees getting hurt. We want them to enjoy the summer months. We know they can do it. 30 of our plants in Masonite, nearly half of the plants, have completed this year so far without an injury, even in the summer. So we know we can do it. It's an important part of our focus in the company, and as we continue to grow, we want to make sure we're keeping safe.
So, if safety is such an important part of our growth, what is our growth strategy overall?
As we've been on a journey to transform Masonite into the best supplier of building products in the eyes of our customers, our employees, our suppliers, and our communities. And we do that by aligning all of our efforts around our blueprint. But we invest, particularly in 3 pillars of growth. The first is to strengthen the core of the company. The second is to drive organic growth. And then the third is to pursue tuck-in acquisitions. Our continuous improvement effort through Lean Sigma has benefited the company by nearly $100 million over the last 5 years since 2006. When it comes to driving organic growth, all organic growth is rooted in innovation. We've done a terrific job in innovating new products, but we've also innovated new services like our Max Configurator, which is a great example. And then the third is to pursue tuck-in acquisitions. Since 2010, Masonite has acquired 11 different companies. That's a lot of effort by our acquisition team. And as a result of that, we've created leading positions in all of the categories that we compete in the North American market.
So it sounds like our business strategy has had quite an impact kind of on the industry overall. Can you tell us a little bit more maybe about how those changes have happened and what Masonite's role was in those?
Absolutely. And the industry landscape is completely different than it was back in the last peak of the market in 2006. As a result of the combination of Masonite with Letgo and Lifetime, and then the follow-on combination of some of our competition, today's market is much smaller and much more consolidated than it was in the past. We have much bigger players who have broader scale and better capability to service the customers. We've done the same thing in the commercial and architectural market. Masonite over the last 3 years has acquired Bayerjan, Marshfield, Algoma, and as a result of those acquisitions, we are now the leading supplier of commercial and architecturally specified door in the North American marketplace. And we're much bigger than anyone else in the space. Again, much better positioned to service our customers. And then most recently, at the end of 2012, we acquired Lemieux, which was the premier supplier of wood, style, and rail doors. And we followed that on just last quarter with the acquisition of Macisa. And Macisa is a pine door style and rail business located in Chile. They have a plant in Cabrero, which is very close to our facings plant in Cabrero, as well as a plant in Chillán, Chile. And that combination of those 3 plants really puts Masonite in the leading position for style and rail wood doors in North America.
Wow, that is a lot of changes. So how does our second quarter performance reflect those changes, and how do those results compare to the second quarter of last year?
Well, we had a solid second quarter, thanks to all of the hard work by Masonite employees around the world. Our unit volumes were up 3.9%, our sales were up 4.7%, and our EBITDA, which is our measure of profit, was up a whopping 24.5% in the second
Wow.
quarter of this year. So we really were excited about the results that we saw. We have a long way to go. The markets are just starting to recover. The profitability increase was really driven by our North American wholesale business, which services the U.S. housing market, which is starting to grow, as well as the acquisitions that we just talked about. They were another big driver. So good progress, more to do, but really encouraged by what we're seeing.
Wow, that is all really exciting news. It sounds
It
like
is.
Masonite's in a great place.
We are. We're doing, and again, it's all based on the great work by our employees.
That's great. Well, in our next segment, we're going to talk to a man who knows everything about socks and not the kind you wear. Last episode, we talked about Masonite's future as a publicly traded company. Here to talk to us today about some of the things we're doing to prepare for that is our Chief Auditor, Gary Jordan. Welcome, Gary. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, in simple terms, what is SOX?
Sarbanes-Oxley is a law that was passed about a decade ago in response to some of the frauds, horrible frauds that were committed at Enron and WorldCom. $120 billion of market capitalization stock went away at WorldCom. I was down there afterwards in an effort to clean up. It was horrible.
So, why is it important to have SOX compliance at this point?
Well, just as Fred mentioned earlier, financial performance is critical, but it's also important to be in compliance with Sarbanes-Oxley, and we're getting ready for that now, and we have time to do it. And it's just like safety procedures in a plant. We just need to get used to the procedures and document them in a way that we can prove that we're in compliance.
So it's kind of like a system of checks and balances.
Very much, and a lot of these controls we already perform, but we have to be prepared to demonstrate how we performed them by maintaining the documentation so that we're able to prove that we're in compliance.
And how do we know when we're doing that well?
We'll know it by virtue of how we're recording our transactions, the accuracy of our billing, our bills of lading creation, how we do our receiving, how well we do our inventory counts, and how well we reconcile those inventory counts to the perpetual inventory.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Gary. We're very fortunate to have you and your team guiding Masonite through this process as we move toward becoming a publicly traded company.
Thank you.
Fred, do you have any final thoughts for us?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, we're excited about the condition of the U.S. housing market and the recovery that we're seeing today. Together, we have worked very hard over the last several years to improve the fundamentals of this company. And today, Masonite is a stronger, more capable, and more competitive company. And it's all because we have a great employee base, and we really want to thank all the employees for choosing to be part of Masonite. Together, we will become the best supplier of building products in the eyes of our customers, our employees, our suppliers, and our communities. And only one company gets to say that. So be safe, work smart, and let's win.
Thanks a lot for joining us today, Fred. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this edition of Headquarter Highlights. If you'd like more information on any of the topics we've talked about, check out the Masonite World newsletter. And we'll see you again next quarter.